So obviously we've had some really good news. It's great to hear these stories. And again, you know, there's two ways that you can receive good news when you hear it. Number one, you can go, oh, it's all right for them. It's all working for them. I'm struggling. It doesn't happen to me. Or you can go, wow, if it can happen to them, it can happen to me. So how you receive that good news is really up to you. You know, I remember there was somebody on our team and they said they don't want to come to training because they get really depressed about hearing everyone's good news because they're not doing that well. And I said, well, you're just thinking all about it all wrong. You know, you've got to go, wow, you know, Esther's only been in the business 5 minutes, but she became a team leader and she's now just on fire in her diaries book. You know, well, she can do that. And she lives down in Devon where there's like nothing there, right? So she's in the middle of nowhere. You're in the middle of London. I think there's probably more people in your borough than there are in her town, you know. So you just got to take the positive from it. But I also appreciate there are some people that maybe isn't working for at this point. In the same way, they're maybe doing those interviews or those RPs, or and then it's not getting the result. They're not closing the business. And so today I wanted to talk about overcoming recruiting objections and basically how to close the RP, right? How to close the interview. You know, I chatted to a couple of people this week and they've kind of said the same thing. So they're sitting there with a prospect. They go through the presentation. They you know, the person's loving it, you know, and then they're kind of like, they don't get the RP, they don't get the IBA, they don't join. So it's like, well, how do you go from that point of they love it to actually them going, yeah, I want an IBA? I mean, how many of you have struggled with that? Let me see some hand raises on the thing. How many of you struggle with that, where you sat with someone and they're not committed. You're not getting that commitment from them, right? As they used to call it, you're not gaining commitment to proceed. So I thought, well, I wanted to just do a short lesson really on how do you massively increase your chances of getting that commitment, and how do you actually get it to the point where there's an answer has to be given. A question is asked, an answer must be given. You've got to bring to conclusion. And I want you to kind of, you know, think of this phrase that you must bring it to conclusion. And that is relevant when you're sitting with a recruit or a prospect, but it's also relevant even from when you get a first yes. When you get a yes, your goal is to bring that to a conclusion. And that conclusion is either yes, no, or maybe, right? So, but really it's either yes or no. So you want to make sure that when you get that yes originally, again, you follow up to get them to the overview or the one-to-one. When they come to the overview, you follow up and you get them to the interview or not. It's either a no and it's a conclusion, or that, hey, they're at the next step. And if it's a not yet, well, put them in the diary to follow them up later, because they're not a conclusion yet if it's a not yet, right? So it's got to be a yes or no. Forget not yet. Not yet just means you haven't brought it to the conclusion yet. So you then follow them up from that. Then you get them down into the one-to-one. Now the goal of that interview, that one-to-one, that RP, is they are doing an IBA today. That's got to be your goal. It's not an information session. It's a sales pitch, right? So you have to think of it as a sales pitch. Now I know there are people in the team, or in the company even, that they have no problem sitting down with a client and doing £140 a month life insurance policy with Vitality, right? They have no problem doing that, but they struggle to get a one-time payment of £140 for a business opportunity. Now, if you think about that, that's ridiculous, right? You understand how to sign something. Imagine you do a £83 a month policy. You've just signed for a 25-year policy. You've signed somebody up for a £25,000 financial commitment, right? It must be easy to get someone to a £140 financial commitment. So if they're not buying that £140 product, it means that you haven't built enough value in it, okay? You haven't demonstrated that it's the answer to their problems. You haven't shown them that it's worth them doing, okay? So you have to make sure that you prove to them that it's a no-brainer. You know, when we do Vitality, right, and we sit down and we do quotes for people, it's easy to close them, right? Wouldn't you agree with that? It's so easy to close them. We basically go, so what are your thoughts? You know, maybe should I go ahead and get that set up for you, right? How many of you agree that's really easy to do? Yeah, let me see hand raises or chat, text. Come on, I want you to. I don't want to put you on the big windows because I want to record this on a big window. But let me know in the chat. But it's easy to do that. Any of us have ever done business, we know it's pretty straightforward. And why? Because it's what's the phrase that we use that it's obvious that they should choose one or the other. It's a no-brainer, right? It's a no-brainer. I mean, how many of you have used that phrase? Well, they went for this because it was a no-brainer, right? Genistar, for people who want to change their life, is a no-brainer. It's obvious that they should do this if what they're doing isn't working. Now, you might get someone that just says, it's just not for me. It doesn't interest me. I'm not going to get passionate about it. There's nothing you can really do about that, You can try a few things, and sort of say, well, what are you passionate about? And, well, what if this was the thing that could lead you to that? But really, if someone just decides they don't want to do it, you can't give somebody a want or a desire. That's down to them. Yeah. That's the only time really. They might go, yeah, I think it's great. I just don't want to do it. Fair enough. You can't sell them on that. You just go next. So I want to, let's see if my thing of holding, what I do with my pen, my pens are always run out. So I got a little cup and I started putting them down like this. So I'm hoping this means they're going to keep their thing for longer. So the first thing you've got to do when you're speaking to somebody for the business is you've got to make connection, right? You've got to make connection with them, and it's got to be emotional. You've got to get them emotional about their goals. So what do I mean by that? So in the overview, we say this, and again, some people are going to learn to do this a lot better, but basically you're saying to them, and again, you can do this in an RP, by the way. I think this is a phenomenal thing to do in an RP. Just like the overview is, do you have any goals that would take a lot of money that doing what you're doing right now is taking too long to achieve? And in a one-to-one situation, you can dig into that a little bit more. And they say things like, yeah, I do. Would you mind sharing one or two of the important ones with me? Yeah, well, I'd like to get out of debt, and I'd like to get a bigger house for me and my family and my kids. Wow, that's awesome. Well, listen, getting out of debt is it's really an amazing thing to do. How do you think it's going to feel when you become debt free? Oh, it'd be amazing. And so you need a bigger house. What's the reason for a bigger house? Oh, well, I really want the kids to have a garden. Okay, so where do you live now? And have you thought about where you might want to live? Have you got an idea about where that house is going to be? How much it's going to cost? Have you thought about that? Hey, tell me more. A great phrase to use is tell me more about that. So tell me more about that. That's really interesting. Tell me more about that. Right? Just that's all about. So at this point, you're using what's called very open questions. Okay. It's not yes or no. It's very, very, simple. Sorry, can you guys hear me okay? Someone said audio keeps breaking. Could be your audio if no one else is having a problem. It's being recorded anyway. So you go, tell me more about that. Oh, wow, that's really interesting. Tell me more about that. Okay, so now the key thing is you're asking questions, okay? Asking questions is everything. Asking smart questions. So now you're asking about their goals, and now you kind of look them in the eye and you say, so let me ask you this. So if in 10 years' time, you hadn't achieved that goal, Joy, if in 10 years' time, you still weren't debt-free, you still haven't got the big house, basically you're still living in the same house, you hadn't developed those things. In fact, all that's really changed for you is you got the same job. All that's changed for you is your children are just 10 years older. How would that feel if nothing really changed for you? And then keep quiet, and then they'll do something like this. They'll go like, oh, yeah, that would be terrible, devastating, bad, whatever, right? You'll see them there. If you really connected with them, you want them to be thinking about it. Sometimes they'll look down like this, like, yeah, that'd be terrible. So now you're connecting with them. And then you say, okay, well, what about, let's say you came and you worked with us and we coached you and developed you and taught you how to build a business of your own. And in just a few years, and again, here you want to paint a picture for them, okay? It's all about, tell them a story about their life, Okay. Let's imagine, in a couple of years, Joy, you've become debt free. You're just picking up the keys to that new house. You and your kids are on the doorstep of the house, and it's a house with a big garden. You open the door, you go in, the kids run straight through the back of the house to the kitchen to this amazing garden. They've all got big smiles on their faces. I mean, they're so proud of you because you've been able to get them to that place. How would you feel about that? Oh, that would be amazing. That's basically what we're going to do with you in Genistar. We're going to help you to achieve those goals and dreams. Now, it's going to take some work. It's going to take a bit of a learning curve for you. But I promise you, if you put the work in, if you're coachable, if you do the right things with us, we're going to help you to achieve those goals and dreams. Let me show you how do we do that. So that's before I even go into the presentation, right? I'm just a guy having a chat about your dreams, because remember, people don't care to know until they know that you care. You want them to go, wow, yeah, I want that, right? And now you've identified with their goals. You can remind them of those goals. So you could say something like, again, it may be you're doing an RP and you haven't really gone into the business yet. That's a good one for like an interview or an RP. But with the RP, you might transition by saying something like, so if there was a way that you could work with us flexibly, make the money you need to become debt-free and to achieve that goal of getting a bigger house for your family, is that something you'd be interested in looking at? Right? So that's a great line. So I want you to write down, if there was a way, right? Here we go. If there was a way. If there was a way of us helping you achieve those goals and dreams, is that something you'd be interested in? Is that something you'd want to look at? Is that something you want to explore? Okay. If there was a way. Okay. Now, so then you're going to go through the RP or the interview. You can explain how it works. You get commission and And if you want, you can refer back to the goals a couple of times. So can you see that if you're a team leader, making £1,000 or £2,000 a month, it will be pretty quick to pay off that debt that you've got, right? That makes sense. Can you see how, again, a great line. Can you see how that would really help you achieve that debt freedom date? Can you see that that would really help you towards that goal of a house, right? So you can touch on their goals as you go through the presentation, Is this making sense to everyone? Yeah, let me see hand raise and stuff. Yeah, is it making sense? Good. Now, here's the thing. So this is the thing that some people struggle with, and it's the close. So you've gone through the presentation, they're loving it, they're like, yeah, this is great. And then you get to that ending and you're thinking, okay, can you just ask me if I can join? Can you just ask me to join? You're kind of going, so, that's the end and that's it. So, does that all make sense? Yeah, great. And you're like, you're waiting for them to go, hey, Joy, would I be able to join this thing? Could I sign up, please? But you haven't asked them, It's like going to someone's house and say, hey, can I get some food? You wait to be offered, right? You're not doing them a favor by waiting for them to ask you. You need to ask them. So you've got to come up with, first of all, you've got to write down this. Do not be afraid to close. Just ask. That's it, guys. Just ask. So does that all make sense? Great. So are you happy to get started today? That's a good one. So you're happy to get started today? Or, hey, that's fantastic. So does that all make sense? Do you have any questions for me? No? Great. So should we go ahead and complete the application? Right? Great. All good. You're happy with it? Great. So are you ready to get started now? Great. Hey, let's go get, so does that all make sense? You're happy with that? Great. So let's get started towards your goals. Let's fill out this form. Or assumptive. Great. So, hey, all you need to do is complete this application and let's get you started. Right? It's just either assumptive or asking a closed question, yes or no. So are you ready to get started, Joy? Now, what's the two options there? Yes? Great. Okay, well, let's get this filled out. Let's get the online app done. Or a request for more information, right? Then it's like, yes or, well, no. And then, okay, well, hey, that's fine. So what is it that you're not sure about? Is there anything else you need from me? So again, that's another thing you can say. So is there anything else you need from me to help you make a decision? You know, Shaheen, you've got another one that you say. Do you want to just type it in there? I know there's a way that you phrase it, which is really good. I might have said it already, but I just remember there's one that you say. So what's the worst thing that can happen is they say no, which just means they want more information. So then no just leads you to, okay, I have an obstacle that is stopping me going ahead today. So yeah, it looks great, but I can't get started yet. So what's the question? Well, why? Why can't you get started yet, right? So hey, that's fine. So what is it that's stopping you getting started right now? Right? That's all we want to know. What's stopping you? Well, and in fact, let me ask you guys the question. Put in the chat group, the chat window, what are the biggest objections that you get? When you say to someone, so are you happy to get started? Should we get that paperwork done? Whatever you say. Can you see it? Another one is, can you see any reason why you wouldn't want to get started with us right now, at least on a part-time basis? Right? Another good one. Too busy, haven't got time, haven't got the money. It's always time and money, basically, right? Would you agree with that? The two biggest obstacles, time and money. Need to think about it. Okay. So there's three. Okay, so first question is this. So if it's I just need to think about it. So you ask something like this, and you put it on you. So usually when someone says they need to think about it, it's because maybe I haven't explained something properly. So let me ask you, what is it that you actually need to think about? Is there a challenge? Like maybe you don't have the money at this point. Maybe you feel, you don't have enough time. Give them the things that you think they're going to think about, right? Fantastic. Yeah. So then they'll say, when they say I need to think about it, I need to think about it is just a request for more information. It means you haven't answered one of their questions or some of their questions. You haven't answered the questions. Okay. So I need to think about it. Well, I'm just not sure. Then they'll say something like, I'm not sure about if I've got the time. I'm not sure that I can't afford the money or whatever, right? Okay, so let's talk about time. So there's a couple of ways you can talk about time. So would you agree that we all have the same amount of time in every single week? Yes. So if there was a way, would you agree that the same amount of time in every week? So would you agree that some people take that same amount of time and become millionaires and other people stay broke in their day job, right? So would you agree it's not about time, but about time management? Okay. Would you agree with that? So have you noticed I'm asking them the questions? I'm not telling them, hey, we all have the same hours. It's not about time, it's about time management. I'm asking, would you agree that? Well, yeah. Okay. So if there was and this is a good phrase you can use a lot, whether it's time or money. Can I ask you this? Is that the only thing that's stopping you going ahead right now? So if that wasn't an issue, would you be in a position, would you want to get started right now? Well, yeah, but time. So if there was a way, if I could show you a way of leveraging my time to help you build your business until you got some income which gave you more time, is that something you'd be interested in exploring? Yeah. So if I can, will you? If I can show you a way how you can leverage my time so you don't have to commit that much time, it's a minimal amount of time commitment from you, but I can still help you get your business started, would you be interested in going ahead then? I've just taken away their excuse, right? Yeah. So time. And how do we do that? Okay, well, listen, you tell me you don't have time. That's no problem because I got loads of time. And this is the great part about our business, Joy. You get to leverage my time. I've got time. So what I'm going to do is when you come on board with us, I'm going to show you how you can literally put together a list of people. I will do all the work for you, get you some people on your team, and actually we'll work out a way that we can fit your training into your schedule so that we can work around it so it does work for you. Remember, you're not an employee. We're very flexible and we're going to work in a way that works for you. Does that make sense? Great. Should we go ahead and get the application started? Right? Time is not a problem. Look, we can all make excuses for time. Look, me and Isabel, we do 4 hours of school runs a day. That's like half a work day spent being an Uber driver and not getting paid for it. You know, that's what we do. But thank goodness in about 3 weeks, that all changes. Yay. Okay, so the other one is, I don't have the £140. So Esther had this one the other day, right, Esther? Esther had this one where someone says, yep, I'm in, don't have the money. Esther said, no problem. So we'd had this conversation before. Esther says, no problem. So from everything you've seen, you know, do you think it's a good little trick you can do? Not trick, that's probably a strategy, is get some yeses from people. So things like, if you can get a couple of yeses, it leads to another yes. So for example, so can you see that this is a business that you can really expand and grow? Yes. Can you see that it really helps people? Yes. Okay. So if there was a way that you could get involved with this, without coming up with the money right now, is that something you'd be looking to explore? They're already going, yes, yes, yes. Basically nod when you're yes, yes, yes. Get a yes and then get a yes, right? Okay, so money's not an issue. So again, the phrase you can use. Okay, so Steve, it's just I don't have the £140. Okay, is it you're never going to have the £140, or you perhaps don't have it till payday or something like that? Oh no, I think I'll have it on payday. Great. Okay, so when's payday? It's in 3 weeks' time, 2 weeks' time. Great. Okay. So if there was a way of getting you started, in fact, hold on, rewind. So is the £140 now the only thing that's stopping you getting started? If the £140 wasn't an issue, okay, if you didn't need £140 right now, would you be in a position to get started? Would you be prepared to get going? Yeah, I would. Great. Okay, so if there was a way that we could actually get you started to be trained, and you don't have to give us that money right now. In fact, we'll actually get you started on your training. We'll help you to get that money. That's another option. Okay. Is that something you'd be looking to explore? Yeah. So Esther had that conversation with a lady this week. She said, I want to join, but don't have the money. Esther says, no problem. If there was a way that we could actually get you going and start your training before you've got the money, so that once you've got the money, you're already trained. You can't do certain things, but there's things we can do. Would you be prepared to get started? They said, absolutely. Then they gave her a top 25 list within 24 hours or whatever, and filled her diary up. Funny thing is, when that person, again, correct me if I'm wrong on this, Esther, when that person saw that, man, this is going fast, they found the money. Would that be fair to say, Esther? If I'm thinking of the same person. Esther's going to get a cup of tea. Anyway, I think that's right. So it's not an issue.
Yeah, that's right, Steve. Yeah.
It's right. Yeah, oh, yes, right. Yeah, that's what I thought. So they weren't going to join, and I saw the IBA coming. I thought, oh, I thought they didn't have the money. Well, do you know what? Funny thing is, when people get it, they find the money, right? I mean, how many of you found the money? All of you. We all found it. I didn't have the money at the time. I put it on a credit card, you know? Okay, so some of these other things. I'm too busy. That's just a time answer. Go down the list of that. Jefferson, I don't know how to do sales. That's fantastic. We're not looking for salespeople. Brilliant. Love that you don't know how to do sales, because actually we're looking for financial educators. Okay, so if I could show you that it's not actually sales, would you like to get started with us? Right? Someone said to me they felt uncomfortable talking about their finances. Okay, they felt coming talking about their finances. Great. Well, we don't need to talk about your finances. This is actually about helping other people, and the byproducts as you talk about you. You know, normally they don't want to talk about their finances because they got no money. People who've got money haven't got a problem with it. I would love to join, but I don't like asking people how much they earn. Wow, do you do that a lot? No, I don't. So how do you know whether you like it or not? You know, I don't know. I don't ask you. Really? So So let me ask you this. Do you like helping people? They're going to say yes. So again, ask question. Do you like helping people? Yes. Do you like making money? Yes. So if the only thing you had to do was ask people a question that actually helped them, do you think that's something you could overcome? Yeah. And if they say no, do you know what? Look, some people are going to come up with stupid excuses because they just don't want to do it, right? It's just the way it is. You identify those people quite quickly. You just go, great, you know, and then I normally take it off them. I'm not sure actually whether you'd qualify. Anyway, again, let me see. Yeah, so really the things to remember is that all that's stopping you getting started now? And if there was a way that we could overcome that, are you ready to get started now? Just don't be afraid to ask the question. This is the thing. Most people's problem isn't really overcoming objections. If you do a good presentation, there's normally not that many objections because you pre-overcome them. Does that make sense? Yeah? What else do I have? I think I had another thing. Oh yeah, that was just the objections I had on that. Oh, by the way, did you see my live the other week? This is my my rocket book. Okay, I'm going to open it up to questions. I'm going to leave the recording on because usually when I turn it off, you guys ask amazing questions, and I think I wish I kept the recording on. So hey, if you want to jump off, it's fine. But the recording, I mean. But I'm going to open up. So any of you got any questions, or maybe again for you guys a bit more experience or having some success in this? Is there anything that you guys have said that maybe I haven't covered? You know, is there things that you've said to overcome certain things? Just unmute yourself and jump in if you have something. If not, I will turn the thing off. Does this make sense so far, everyone? Does it? Can you see that it's not that hard? It's just having the confidence to say, so does that all make sense? Great. So should we get you started? Joy, yes.
Hi, Steve. I had a conversation a couple of days ago with Naomi, and she was saying that a lot of people don't like talking about their debt, but actually when you get involved in the business and you start using the scripts, you begin to realize that people do. So I just was talking to her about trusting the process, and actually you'll see there's a difference when you're actually in the situation, because we're going for a scoop tomorrow, and it could be that this person could be a bit closed and it's going to be a bit difficult. But I said to her, I bet that you're going to see a different result from what you're actually thinking. Just trust the process.
Yeah.
It's work.
The thing to do, if someone says they're not going to join because they don't think people will share what they do on their debt, you say, look, well, all I can tell you is we've been doing this for 12 years. We got over 50,000 clients, and that's never been an issue. So, you know, you can assume that that's the case, but we have a 12-year track record, and there's a 42-year track record in the US and Canada that simply isn't the case. It's just it's not valid. It's not a valid point, you know. Oh, but people won't want to do that. Well, we've done it 12 years and it's just not the case. You can make an assumption, or I can show you that it's not the case, you know.
Yeah, I do think it's just about reassuring people that they have to just trust and get involved.
Yeah.
Then they'll see how well it's been working all the time, like you said. Thanks.
Yeah. For any of you guys, so Shaheen, Lindsay, Esther, people that recruit, I mean, obviously I know lots of you do. Any of you had a different objection that you've overcome, or you've got an objection that, you know, you maybe haven't overcome even, you know? You have to remember, an objection is not a rejection. It's just a request for more information. Just means you haven't satisfied one of their questions, one of their needs.
I think I don't know if she's on, but Banksy's a great example. One of her objections was, I'm living in a brand new place. I don't know anyone. Like, I think I'd really struggle. And I turned around and said to her, do you know what? What a great opportunity for you to make yourself go out and make new friends and meet new people. And look at her. She's bloody smashing it.
Yeah, I've got to say, Banksy's done great. She's got 2 this month? Well, she's got 2 personals, and then they've got recruits as well. Another 1 or 2 as well, I think. But yeah, so Banksy, again, she's done great. She moved into a brand new area, didn't know anybody. And then, you know, first month is like, I don't know anybody. So guess what? She started plugging into training. She started developing herself. And here we are, a few months later, she's now like, bang, recruiting. Yeah, I would never, she said to me the other day, she would have never believed that she could actually just speak to people like she's doing now. And she said, oh, you know, thanks for all the coaching. I said, hey, you did it, you know. we just told you what to do. So, someone said to her, I haven't got a car, but I plan to have one in the next few months. Well, that's not a problem. When you train, you'll come out with me. And then when you train your new people, they can take you out. By then, you'll have your money for a car, right? Also, that's great. Again, it's just an overcoming. But also, just say, do you know what? We've got a whole bunch of vice presidents that also don't have cars. Cars is not an issue, right? Because people that don't have cars, when they go to the shops, when they go to work, they're used to using public transport. Now, if you're a car person, you think, oh, I'd never do that. I need a car. But people who are not car people, they're used to taking the bus. They're used to planning their journey. It's normal for them. By the way, Fan Shea became a vice president without a car. Frank Egaridu became a vice president without a car. Mark Robles still doesn't have a car. Right? Doesn't stop them, though. Right, Mark? You don't. Is Mark on? I think I saw Mark's name. Mark, you don't have a car, right, Mark? So, but yeah, you're kicking butt, still making money and what have you. You don't need a car to be successful in the business. It's the same as in life. If you don't feel you need a car for just day-to-day life, then you don't need it in the business. But if you feel you need one for day-to-day life, then you probably need one in the business. Okay. What else? Anyone else? Jump in. Oops. Oh no, that's right. I just put a blue pen on my white shirt. Thankfully, it was just my hand.
Steve, I have one question.
Yes.
What about the language barrier? You know what I mean? Sometimes it's like, you know, my English still is not good, blah, blah, blah.
Well, it's not English at all.
Well, it's not, yeah. Well, if it's not English at all, obviously, I don't know how.
If there's no English at all, then yeah, they need to learn English. If there's no English at all, then yeah, they're not going to be the right person for us. Now, if their English is a second language and they've got a bit of an accent and stuff like that, that's not an issue because, well, you know, you have an accent, right? It's not an issue. It's, listen, well, this is a business. It's a duplicatable system. Your English is fine. We have loads of people in the country. In fact, the majority of our vice presidents, English is not their first language, right?
Yeah.
So actually, that's not a reason for this. Now, you know, someone might say, well, they're not confident in their English. Say, well, hey, listen, you know, I don't know every English word, but they teach us what to say. It's a script. You can learn a script, right? Great.
Cool. Thank you.
Okay. I wouldn't worry about that. You know, we've got so many people in the company that English is not their first language. I mean, gosh, it's funny. I'm looking across the screen here. And again, I can see loads of them already. You know, it's just not an issue. Okay. Anything else? Anyone else got any questions?
I have a question.
Who's that?
Gloria.
Oh, Gloria. Yes, Gloria.
The last few people that I meet in the last days, they say if work like recruiting people is like it works like pyramid.
Pyramid, yeah.
But they say no. If it's recruiting, it's like this. So they say they're not interested.
Okay. So what you say to that? So basically, the objection there is a pyramid scheme, right? So you say, first of all, everything that recruits people is not a pyramid. The army recruits people. The government recruits people. The council recruits people. Every single business recruits people. So first of all, recruiting doesn't decide whether something is a pyramid, right? What decides whether something is a pyramid is whether it's an illegal money laundering scam, because a pyramid scheme is actually illegal, okay? We are regulated by the Financial Conduct Authority. They don't regulate illegal scams, so of course that means it can't be a pyramid. Does that make sense? Yeah? And by the way, if someone says, well, I don't like recruiting people, you say, that's fantastic. We've got to, so let's say you could earn a secondary income and not recruit anybody. Is that something you'd be interested in looking at? Right? Let me ask you guys a question. Is there a way that you can be in our business, make an income from helping families and not have to recruit anybody? Is there a way you can make £500 to £1,000 a month part-time by not recruiting anybody?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah?
Yeah.
How do you do that?
You see clients directly.
It means you become a rep. We've got a position for people like that. It's called a rep.
Mm.
You don't have to recruit anyone as a rep, right? If you say, I don't want to recruit, I just want to help people, no problem. We've got a position for people like that. It's called rep level. But then I'd ask the question, but when you start earning money, can I ask you the question, would you want to help other people earn money? Or would you just want to keep it all to yourself? When you start helping families, would you only want to help families, or would you want to help other people to help families? Would you want to impact more people? You know, you get to the answers with the questions, right? Will I lose my housing benefit? No, you won't. Okay, first of all, so that's a poverty mentality, so that identifies that. Or will it, I'd love to do it, but it'll affect my benefits. Okay, so first things, housing benefit is determined by income, right? Is that correct? So when you're in a business, you have got business expenses. So let's say, and again, this is kind of more of a tax lesson, but I'll try and answer the question in a very simple way. Let me make this big screen. So let's say somebody comes and works with us part-time and they make £10,000, let's say £1,000 a month, £12,000. Okay? That's a decent income, isn't it? But what happens is they have expenses. So their mobile phone might be £50 a month, right? So that's what, 600 a year. They might pay, in their housing benefit, they might pay, what, £1,500 a month, right? Let's say £1,600 a month. 20% of that becomes tax deductible because they work from home, right? So let's say what's 20% of that? So 320, right? Is that right? Did I say 1,600? I said 1,600, didn't I? £400. The £400 of there is now tax deductible a month, right? So a month, sorry, that's a month. So £400, that's 40. So it's about, let's say around about 5, just to make it easy figures, okay? Let's say it's about $5,000 a year they can offset. Then you've got things like utilities, 20% of those you can offset. So then you'll find out that then you've got travel, 45p a mile in your car. If you do 10,000 miles a year in your car, that's another 4,500 you can offset. Then you've got, your ink and your paper. And if you have to buy a laptop technology, then you offset all of this. So basically, this is what your turnover was. This is what you brought in commission from Genistar. You had to pay this out as business expenses. So you show a negative loss, which means you didn't make a profit. You only pay tax on profit. Profit is considered income. So even though you had cash flow is not income. So the bottom line is, unless you're making a lot of money, I mean, talking 20, 30, 40, 50,000, you're not going to have, and by the time it affects your housing benefit, you'll be making enough money to pay your rent on your own without any problems. So again, it's a nonsense excuse, but it's also an indication of a poverty benefits mentality. So you don't want to spend too much time with that person convincing them. You just tell them, hey, it's not an issue. Don't worry, we teach you how to do it. But if they still got a problem with that, then frankly, they're just, you're going to find that they're not the kind of person you're looking for. Okay. Anything else? No? Yep. Anyone? Anyone? Okay.